the endless hush of the Egyptian desert, where wind whispers secrets through ancient sands, a colossal shadow rises from the earth. Weathered by millennia, silent and still, it looms, as if waiting. The Great Pyramid of Giza, a monument older than many of the world's sacred texts. A tomb perhaps, a temple maybe, or something else entirely. They called it Khufu's Pyramid, but its true name may be lost to time. What remains is stone, 2.3 million blocks of it, stacked with impossible precision, each weighing as much as a car, yet placed so tightly together that even a razor blade cannot slip between them. But it is not only the stone that draws wonder, it is what the stones point to. In a time before satellites, before GPS, before the magnetic compass itself, the ancient Egyptians aligned this mighty structure almost perfectly to true north. The deviation is less than 3/60ths of a degree. Modern architects with lasers and digital maps can scarcely do better. How did they achieve such precision? What instruments did they use? What knowledge did they possess that allowed them to mirror the heavens with blocks of limestone? Many have asked. Few have answered. Under a sky littered with stars, the ancients watched the firmament not as a distant decoration, but as a sacred text. The sky was their calendar, their compass, and their mythology. Orion's belt was not just a constellation, it was the celestial representation of Osiris, lord of the underworld. The Milky Way mirrored the Nile, and above it all, the North Star, eternal and unmoving, marked the center of the heavens. It was the eye of the gods, watching. The Great Pyramid faces this eye, not roughly, not approximately, exactly. Its four sides align almost perfectly to the cardinal points, north, south, east, west. The base is nearly a perfect square, and the height of the pyramid, when multiplied by a specific ratio, corresponds uncannily with the circumference of the earth. Coincidence, some say. Design, others whisper. Ancient texts speak of the stars as deities, as judges, as gateways. The Book of the Dead is filled with references to celestial beings and afterlife journeys among the constellations. In these texts, the soul of the deceased rises through the duat, the shadowy realm between life and eternity, and emerges into the sky. The pyramid, perhaps, was the vessel. Inside the Great Pyramid, shafts run from the so-called King's Chamber at narrow angles, piercing the structure like veins of air and light. They are not functional in the way ventilation shafts are in modern buildings. They are symbolic, precise, intentional. One points toward Orion's belt, another to Sirius. Two others align with circumpolar stars once used for navigation and ritual. But there is no firm record of how these shafts were constructed, nor why they were placed with such mathematical rigor. No blueprint has been found. No inscription explains their purpose. The ancients left only silence. And yet, in that silence, something speaks. Consider the Sphinx, not far from the pyramid's eastern edge. With the body of a lion and the face of a man, it stares toward the horizon, eternally greeting the rising sun on the spring equinox. Some believe it is far older than the pyramid itself, built during a wetter era when rains still touched the Giza Plateau. If true, the Sphinx may mark a much earlier chapter of celestial worship, long before dynasties carved their names into stone. Across the desert, temples and tombs are likewise oriented to solstices, star paths, and planetary events. Even the Dendera zodiac, a temple ceiling etched with an intricate star chart, shows a deep understanding of the heavens. The ancients were not guessing, they were mapping. Mapping what though? The sky, yes, but perhaps also something more. Some scholars suggest the Great Pyramid is a map not just of the earth and the sky, but of the human soul's journey through space and time. The chambers may correspond to stages of spiritual transformation, the shafts to astral travel, the structure itself to a cosmic machine, designed not to preserve the body, but to liberate the essence. Stranger still are the stories of those who've spent time within the pyramid's core. In 1798, Napoleon Bonaparte spent a night alone inside the king's chamber. He emerged, pale, shaken, and silent. When asked what happened, he refused to speak of it, ever. Later explorers have described bizarre acoustics, sensations of floating, time distortion. The very geometry of the chamber, with its high pointed ceiling and resonant stone walls, creates a peculiar energy. Some believe it is deliberate, a harmonization of space, a resonance tuned to frequencies we no longer understand. The ancients may have known something we have since forgotten. That stone can carry memory. That shape influences energy, that the stars are not far away but reflected here below in sacred architecture. The Greeks later inscribed on their temples, "As above, so below." But Egypt, it seems, had practiced this principle long before. They built not for man, but for gods. Is it possible that the Great Pyramid was never just a tomb, that it was a message carved in stone, a message not just for those who walk the sands, but for those who watch from beyond them? A bridge, perhaps, between the seen and the unseen, between the earth and the stars. But this is only the beginning, because if the stones speak to the stars, what exactly are they trying to say?
And if the stones speak to the stars, then perhaps the stars were listening. 3 lights suspended in the winter sky. Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka. Together they form the Belt of Orion, one of the most recognizable constellations above Earth. But in ancient Egypt, this celestial pattern was far more than a pretty alignment. It was sacred. It was Osiris. Below those stars, 3 pyramids rise from the Giza Plateau: Khufu, Khafra, Menkaura. Their arrangement is more than architectural brilliance. It is symbolic, perhaps even cosmological. Their positioning mimics Orion's belt, not just roughly, but with a precision that has intrigued scholars for decades. The alignment is not perfect, unless you look at it from the stars. To the ancient Egyptians, Orion was the celestial form of Osiris, god of death, resurrection, and eternal return. His wife, Isis, was associated with Sirius, the brightest star in our sky, and together, their mythos became a cosmic tale, etched into both heavens and earth. The idea that the pyramids represent Orion's belt was brought to the modern world in 1994, when Robert Bauval proposed the Orion correlation theory. He noted how the Giza pyramid's layout mirrors the 3 stars of Orion's belt, including the offset of the smallest pyramid. He also found that the alignment matched the sky, as it would have appeared around 10,500 BCE. Critics called it speculative, others called it revelation. Inside the Great Pyramid, shafts extend from the king's and queen's chambers, long, narrow tunnels that ascend through stone, emerging not into air, but into specific points in the sky. One shaft aligns with Orion, another with Sirius. These were not for ventilation, they were deliberate, measured. They may have been designed as celestial channels. According to the pyramid texts, among the oldest religious writings on Earth, the soul of the deceased pharaoh ascended to Orion. He became Osiris, reborn in the stars. The pyramids, then, were not just tombs, they were launch pads for the afterlife. Imagine a world where monuments weren't simply meant to endure time, but to echo eternity, where rituals were mapped to constellations, where death was not an end, but a transformation, guided by starlight. The acoustics inside the king's chamber are otherworldly. Tones resonate, lingering long after they're made. Some say these chambers were designed to amplify sound, to awaken something dormant, within the body or beyond it. To this day, no inscription marks the inner sanctum, only silence and symmetry. This silence, however, speaks, because across the globe, other ancient civilizations also look to Orion. The Dogon of Mali
an African tribe with startlingly accurate knowledge of Sirius and its invisible companion star, claim that beings from Sirius came to Earth in the earliest days. How did they know about Sirius B, a star not visible without modern telescopes? The Mayans too tracked Orion, as did the builders of Teotihuacan. Across oceans and continents, ancient eyes turned to the same place in the sky, not to the sun, not to the moon, but to Orion and the secrets it held. Could the Giza pyramids have been part of something larger, a global effort to mirror the sky, a network of sites built in resonance with celestial events, tuned to frequencies we no longer understand? Many believe the ancient Egyptians encoded more than just resurrection myths into their architecture. They encoded time, cycles, prophecy. They believed that what happened above affected what happened below, as above, so below. And if the pyramids truly reflected Orion in 10,500 BCE, that moment may not have been random. It may have been a memory of a lost age, a forgotten beginning. We still cannot explain how the Great Pyramid was built with such precision, how its base aligns almost perfectly to true north, how its measurements correspond with planetary dimensions, or why it lacks the markings of a typical tomb. No body, no hieroglyphs, no treasure, just scale, silence, and symmetry. And still, the pyramids remain. Centuries pass, empires rise and fall, but those three monuments continue to face the stars they were built to honor, as if waiting for something or someone. Osiris, Orion, resurrection, light. What if the pyramids were not only mirrors, but messages? And if they are speaking to the heavens, what message are they sending? And, more importantly, who might be listening? If the heavens were listening, then the stones may have been singing all along. Not in words, not in stories carved on the walls, but in something much older, much stranger. Perhaps it isn't language at all. Perhaps the pyramids are not meant to be read, but felt. In the stillness of the king's chamber, there is no sound, yet something hums. Beneath the silence, a presence, a vibration, as though the stone itself remembers. Modern science has revealed something curious about these ancient halls. When sound is made inside the pyramid, a low hum, a spoken word, a deep chant, it doesn't vanish, it lingers, echoes, amplifies. Especially in frequencies too low for the human ear to detect, the pyramid responds. It sings back. These low-frequency vibrations, called infrasound, are known to affect the human body in unusual ways. They can cause disorientation, euphoria, even visions. And within the stone walls of the pyramid, these frequencies don't just pass through, they resonate. In 2018, researchers from ITMO University in Russia discovered that the Great Pyramid can concentrate electromagnetic energy, particularly in its subterranean and king's chambers. The structure, it seems, isn't passive. It interacts with waves. It focuses them, like a massive, immovable tuning fork carved from limestone and granite. Granite, the same stone used in the king's chamber, contains quartz, and quartz vibrates. When placed under pressure, it generates electricity, a phenomenon called piezoelectricity. The pyramid, then, may not just shape energy, it may respond to it, channel it, perhaps even harness it. Ancient Egyptian texts often speak of sound in sacred terms. Priests chanted specific phrases at specific times, believing their voices could open gateways to the divine. Temples were designed with acoustics in mind. Echoes were not flaws, they were instruments. Every note, every whisper, mattered. And in the pyramid, the stakes were even higher. What if these chambers were more than tombs? What if they were instruments, tools for transformation? Imagine a ritual deep within the pyramid. Torches flicker against the stone. Incense swirls in the stale air. A priest stands before the sarcophagus, not to mourn, but to awaken. He chants, a deep, resonant tone that causes the granite to hum beneath his feet. The air thickens. The veil between worlds grows thin. Was this how they communed with gods? Not through words, but through vibration. Even the ancient name for Egypt, Kemet, means the Black Land. But some believed there was a deeper Egypt, hidden beneath the surface. A spiritual mirror where energies flowed in harmony with the stars and earth. And in this Egypt, sound was sacred, not heard, but felt. We know that sound can affect matter. Cymatics, the study of sound's impact on physical material, shows that different frequencies create different patterns in sand, water, and dust. Order from chaos. Shape from tone. Could the ancients have known this? Could they have used it? Inside the pyramid, there are no decorations, no stories carved in stone, no scenes of pharaohs or gods. Just chambers, angles, echoes. It is as if the pyramid was not built to be seen, but to be experienced. Some believe the pyramid could have been a healing chamber, that lying within the sarcophagus during a chant could reset the body's energy. Others say it was for rebirth, not physical, but spiritual, a place where the soul shed its earthly shell and rose anew, guided by sound. There are whispers of initiates who spent nights inside, wrapped in silence and shadow, waiting for visions to come. Some emerged changed, others did not emerge at all. We do not know the exact purpose of these vibrations, but we know they exist, and they are no accident. Why build a monument that amplifies the inaudible? Why design a chamber that resonates like a bell, yet remains silent? Perhaps the answers lie not in what was built, but why. Maybe the pyramid was a message not meant for eyes or ears, but for something deeper, something waiting to be awakened. Because in the stillness of stone, something stirs, and it hums in a voice older than memory. The pyramid hums, but it does not speak. Its message may be hidden not in sound, but in structure. Because beneath the immense weight of limestone and granite, behind the silence of those ancient corridors, there may lie a code written not in hieroglyphs, but in numbers, measurements, proportions, ratios too perfect to ignore. For centuries, the Great Pyramid of Giza was dismissed as little more than an elaborate tomb. But what if it is something more, something far older and infinitely more precise? Consider this. The base of the pyramid is just over 230 meters per side. When multiplied by 4, the number of sides, we get a perimeter that, when compared to the pyramid's height, mirrors the ratio of a circle's circumference to its radius. In other words, pi. Coincidence? Perhaps, but then there's the curious case of the pyramid's height. Originally standing at 146.6 meters, multiply this number by 43,200, and you get the polar radius of the Earth. Not roughly, not approximately, exactly. Even stranger, that same scale of 1 to 43,200 seems to echo the Earth's circumference when applied to the pyramid's base. In other words, encoded into the dimensions of a single structure is the entire planet. How could an ancient civilization, with no satellites, no aerial view, no advanced surveying tools, have known the exact shape and size of the Earth? Mainstream archaeologists suggest these numbers are the result of coincidence, intuition, or luck. After all, human beings have always reached for patterns, even in chaos. But others see the pyramid not as a coincidence, but as a blueprint of the earth, of space, of time itself. The alignment of the pyramid to true north is more precise than most modern buildings. It is off by a fraction of a single degree, so small it could be dismissed, yet so precise it defies explanation. Its placement on the Earth's surface is no less strange. The Great Pyramid sits at the geographic center of all landmasses on Earth. Draw a line of latitude and longitude through the pyramid's location, and you divide the continents almost perfectly, north and south, east and west. Was this intentional? Was it known? And if so, by whom? No writings have ever been found inside the Great Pyramid. No inscriptions, no signatures, no record of who designed it or why. The builders left behind no instruction manual, just stone and silence. And yet the silence is filled with numbers. Some researchers believe the pyramid was designed with a lost system of measurement, the sacred cubit, that predates all known historical units. This cubit, they claim, allows the pyramid's dimensions to align not only with Earth's measurements, but with astronomical cycles. For example, the precession of the equinoxes, a slow wobble in Earth's rotation that takes approximately 25,920 years to complete, appears to be encoded in the pyramid's layout. Divide the length of the king's chamber by its width, and you get a number eerily close to this great cycle. This has led some to suggest the pyramid is not simply a monument, but a calendar, a clock, a time capsule left for a distant future, perhaps ours. And the builders? If not the Egyptians we know, then who? Some propose a forgotten civilization, one wiped away by flood or fire. Others suggest something more distant, that the pyramid's impossible knowledge came not from Earth, but from the stars. There are legends across the world, from Sumeria to Mesoamerica, of gods who came down from the sky and taught humanity agriculture, mathematics, astronomy. Some looked human, others did not. Were they myths or memories? The ancient Egyptians spoke of the god Thoth, bringer of wisdom, keeper of time, measurer of the heavens. It is said he taught the secrets of writing and the hidden structure of the cosmos. Perhaps the pyramid is his legacy, or a message he helped encode. The numbers, the angles, the alignments, they are not random. They speak of things we only began to understand in the last few centuries, and yet they've stood in stone for thousands of years. Whoever built the pyramid understood the planet, the stars, time. Maybe it wasn't just a tomb. Maybe it was never a tomb at all. Maybe it was a map, not of geography, but of knowledge, a cosmic blueprint hidden in plain sight. And if that's true, what else might be hidden? Because something about the pyramid remains locked, sealed, waiting. Something remains sealed. Beneath all the precision, the alignment, the numbers, something is still waiting. The Great Pyramid has been studied, scanned, and mapped, yet it continues to defy full understanding. And at the heart of this mystery are its hidden spaces. Not metaphor, not legend, but real physical chambers, still sealed behind stone. In 2017, a team of scientists used a technique called muon tomography, a scanning method that detects cosmic particles, to peer inside the Great Pyramid without disturbing a single brick. What they found stunned the world. Above the Grand Gallery, they discovered a vast void, at least 30 meters long, completely inaccessible and completely unexplained. No known passage leads to it, no ancient texts mention it, and yet, it's there. What is it? A hidden chamber? A sealed sanctuary? A cavity left by accident? Or intent? Some believe it may contain a throne, possibly made of meteoritic iron, as referenced in ancient texts. Others think it could be the true burial chamber of the pyramid's original architect, or something else entirely. But the void above the Grand Gallery isn't the only mystery. There are rumors of other anomalies, unexplored shafts, acoustic dead zones, and thermal hotspots detected by infrared scans. Each one hinting at more secrets buried in stone. Consider the narrow shafts that stretch from the Queen's chamber, too small for a human to crawl through, too perfectly angled to be random. One points directly at the star Sirius, the other at Orion's belt. Were they symbolic airways for the soul, or star-guided tunnels for something else? In 1993, a small robotic probe was sent into one of these shafts. It traveled upward into the darkness until it reached a small stone door with copper handles, a sealed gateway thousands of years old. Behind it, no one knew. Nearly a decade later, another robot was sent. It drilled a small hole in the stone, slid a camera through, and revealed yet another door, deeper, darker. And then, the exploration stopped. No official answers, no further attempts, just silence. Why? Some say these doors lead to nothing. Others believe they were never meant to be opened, that whatever lies beyond them isn't just hidden, it's protected. In ancient Egyptian belief, sacred knowledge was often guarded, not by locks or traps, but by secrecy itself. What was sacred was silent. Could the pyramid's hidden chambers be repositories of this silence, vaults of forgotten science, ritual, or even consciousness? Legends speak of the Hall of Records, a chamber said to lie beneath the Sphinx or the pyramid itself, containing the lost wisdom of a forgotten age, Atlantean knowledge, star maps, the original language of the gods. Mainstream archaeology dismisses this as myth, but the myths persist, and so does the mystery. We now have the technology to explore every inch of the pyramid, yet there is hesitation, a sense that some doors should remain closed. Maybe it's caution, maybe it's reverence, or maybe it's fear. Because if there is knowledge hidden within the pyramid, knowledge not meant for our time, what happens when we uncover it? What if those who built the pyramid left behind more than just stone? What if they left a warning left in stone, not spoken, not written, but buried? What if it was never meant to be obvious? What if it was meant to be discovered only when we were ready to understand it? Because for all its grandeur, the Great Pyramid may not be the end of the mystery. It may only be the beginning. Beneath its base, beneath layers of rock and time, there are whispers of hidden chambers. Not rooms we've entered, not spaces we've mapped, but voids, dark, sealed, silent. In 2017, using advanced particle detection technology, scientists discovered an anomaly within the pyramid, a void, vast and untouched, floating above the Grand Gallery. No passage leads to it, no entrance has been found, but it's there, waiting. Some believe it's another chamber. Others say it's a cavity formed by structural necessity, but its size, its shape, and its position suggests something intentional. A hidden room, a sealed tomb, or perhaps a vault. What lies inside has become a subject of obsession, not just for archaeologists, but for those who believe the pyramid holds secrets far beyond our understanding. There are ancient texts that speak of a hall of records, a chamber containing the lost knowledge of a forgotten civilization. Some say it lies beneath the Sphinx. Others say it's inside the Great Pyramid itself. But all agree on one thing: it is hidden, and it is protected. Egyptian mythology speaks of magical seals, of curses that guard sacred places, tales passed down through millennia, dismissed by science, but never fully erased. In the early 20th century, when tombs in the Valley of the Kings were opened, a string of misfortunes followed: illness, madness, death. Some blamed bacteria, others blamed the dead. The curse of the pharaohs. Superstition, maybe, but when it comes to the Great Pyramid, the most mysterious structure on Earth, even skeptics grow quiet. There are symbols found near the pyramid's base, weathered, faint. Some resemble protective spells, others depict entities not quite human. Winged forms, serpent-like figures, guardians of knowledge, or something darker. Legends tell of a veil, a kind of spiritual barrier that shields sacred truths from unworthy eyes. To pass through it is to risk madness or revelation. Could the pyramid be more than a map? Could it be a gateway? Not in the literal sense, not a portal that opens with keys and incantations, but a spiritual one activated not by machines, but by consciousness. The ancients spoke of the third eye, of inner sight, of realms unseen. They believed the soul could travel, that temples and tombs were not destinations but launch points. Perhaps the hidden chamber is not meant to be entered physically. Perhaps it is a symbol, a challenge to evolve, a test. If we open it with drills and force, we might find nothing but stone. But if we open it with awareness, what might we see? The pyramid was built to last, through flood, through fire, through forgetting, and perhaps through delusion. It watches us as we build towers of glass and steel, as we bury truth in distraction, as we forget the rhythm of the stars, and still it waits, not as a relic of the past, but as a mirror, reflecting what we are and what we have yet to become. Because maybe the real chamber is not inside the pyramid at all. Maybe it's inside us, and maybe, just maybe, we're the ones who are sealed, waiting to be awakened.